first of all, your full name is Riccardo Caprari.
Yes, perfect. Perfect.
So Syzygy it doesn't seem to be a project where it has any framework or game engine being used, right? So you made this from scratch, basically.
Yes, I wrote everything.
Why?
Usually, what happens is that when you're trying to build a game or anything really, you get to a point where the technology you're using just starts to get in your way. And I don't want that to happen. Like when I'm making a game, I want to have an idea, try that idea immediately, and I don't want to get stuck because the engine does not support something that I need. Like I want to be able to do everything at all times. Obviously, the cost of this is that it takes me a longer time to build everything. I like to accept that cost because also I like to write also basic stuff, things that people say like, okay, this you can use the library, blah blah blah. No, I prefer to write that, know how that works in detail. So if at any times that thing becomes a bottleneck, I can go in and optimize that and so that it works better.
Yeah, you can get, if you use some kind of commercial game engine, I mean, you can usually get started prototyping your game much faster if you use something off the shelf. When did you basically become able to start prototyping your game? How long did it take you? Was it a few months or?
It's hard to say because, it was almost like a stream of consciousness project. Like I was not
Oh,
keeping track of what I was doing. Like I knew I wanted to make this game because I had this idea of the three shapes that interchange with one another.
yeah.
And I knew that I want to build it in C because I could have full control on what I was doing. And yeah, probably took a lot though, because I remember that after a year, probably I still had no gameplay. Basically, because I learned C the year before I started this project, and when I learned C, I learned how to program. Like I was not able to program before, so I was just beginning. Like I had almost no knowledge of anything really, and I started with this really big thing, and I never stopped to ask myself, is this really something that you can do? Like, will you be able to pull this through or not? Like, I never stopped to ask that, but in the end, I managed, so it's fine.
What were you inspired by? What inspired you to take this on?
That's probably a long question, but I'll try to make it
No,
short.
go for it.
I started making games when I was like 11, like with Game Maker and stuff, like not programming because I did not have a clue. And then I got to a point where I was able to make small games without programming, but I was too limited. And then I started to learn by myself, and I failed. Like I failed badly. I was unable to learn to program by myself. At that point, I was ending high school. I said, okay, I want to make games, but I'm not able to do that, like because I don't know how to program. So I went for computer science, and so I went for computer science, and I started computer science. And during my first year of computer science, I followed the Twitter account of Jonathan Blow, and he tweeted something like, "Oh, there is this nice thing about learning how to C, to program C, I guess, because Casey in the beginning was doing an intro to C kind of thing." And I was like, "Oh, that's good because I can look at that and maybe I can get better." And then Casey said, "Okay, I'm going to make this series where I program a game from scratch." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna follow this." So I followed like 100 episodes, like daily coding along. And I got to a point where Casey ended the basic platform layer kind of thing. I was like, okay, well, I don't need to know any more than this. Like, this is what I need, and then the other part is the part that I need to figure out by myself. Basing myself on that code, I started making the game. Like, I was playing a lot of weird roguelikes at the time. And there are some of those that have weird shapes of the grid. I was like, well, that's interesting, but you could possibly have more than one grid, and then I started thinking that you only have three tessellations of the 2D plane, like with triangles, squares, and hexagons. And I was like, well, it could be interesting to try to have something that can switch between them and see what comes up, like in terms of interesting situations. But the game it has not been a puzzle game for a long time. Like I decided it had to be a puzzle game almost 2 years and a half in. The more I thought about it, the more it was a bad idea. It's hard to generate interesting situations. Like it's much easier to simply craft a level and then the level be like that. It does not waste the user time so much. Like because in roguelikes, a lot of the times, there are a lot of situations that are just chores because you know how to solve that. Really, the process of building the game is a lot like playing it. I was basically playing the game and making variations, looking at variations and saying, okay, well, can I solve this? Well, this seems solvable. I'll try to solve that. And if when I solved it, it also was interesting, I kept it as a puzzle. I did this for a very long time, and really, it was actually the hardest part because the puzzles I came up with, I did not like them that much, and I kept trying more and more and more, and I made a lot of them. Like I discarded half of the puzzles I made, and the game have probably around 2,000 puzzles. Like most just went away because were not interesting or were repetitions of things that were already exemplified better by other puzzles. So the puzzles that are now in the game are all interesting.